My name is Duncan Clark. I'm chairman of BDA, which is an investment consultancy in Beijing, and I'm author of the new book on Alibaba that I wrote over the last year, including some of it here at Stream a year ago. My job is interesting because I'm in China, I'm in Asia, the most dynamic region in the world in terms of the internet and e-commerce. And I've been lucky enough to work with Alibaba in the early days and see them grow. I love my job because I'm in Asia, which is the most dynamic region in the world in terms of the internet and the consumer economy, specifically China, where life is very unpredictable in an exciting way. I guess the most challenging part of my job is that the world is trying to figure out China particularly, so you have to go to the world increasingly, a lot of travel. But the reason I'm happy to do that is it's pretty polluted in Beijing, so any of us who are based there are pretty happy to have an excuse to get out. In fact, coming to Stream, I left Beijing with a very highly polluted day. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg is visiting Beijing today and was running in the pollution in Beijing, but it's a braver man than me that could do that. So I worked with Alibaba in the early days. I met Jack Ma when he founded the company in 1999. There were just 20 people in the apartment back then. And so I just have a book coming out in 2 weeks with HarperCollins called Alibaba, the house that Jack Ma built. Alibaba has grown from a small startup. Interestingly, 1/3 of the founders were women, and it's always been a very inclusive company in terms of both employing women and serving women. And actually it's grown from this small apartment to this 40,000 employee mammoth. Around the world, they have offices in Europe, in Asia, in the United States. And what's interesting about the book that I've written, I hope, is that it's been picked up in a number of countries where Alibaba is quite popular, like Russia, Ukraine, Brazil, Spain. So we have lots of language versions coming out in addition to English and Chinese. So Alibaba is really, I think, the first truly global Chinese company that people know. I mean, there's companies like Huawei, but it's a bit more niche. So Alibaba is something, the name itself, Alibaba, and Jack Ma, everybody can pronounce it. Everybody has heard, I think, increasingly of this company. It's the largest ever IPO on the New York Stock Exchange. So it's an exciting company to cover. It has its ups and downs, and that makes it all very interesting for me. Well, every time I come to Stream, I come away with something I didn't expect. Coming in on the bus yesterday from the airport, I downloaded the Vietnamese equivalent of WhatsApp, and I now have a growing number of, I hope, of Vietnamese friends. It's called Zalo, if I'm right. I continually find it's how many messaging apps there are. There's Kakao in South Korea for my Korean friends that I meet here, now Vietnam on top of Line. And so, you know, the patchwork that is Asia, you know, is a challenge, but it's also fascinating. Like, how do you thread together an Asian quilt, if you will? I mean, Asia is, as we know, like the largest continent, has the largest population of any in the world, and it's actually the center of economic activity for the future of the world. And so coming here is absolutely essential to try to thread together all these bits and pieces. Yeah, the highlights so far, we had a session on the O2O sector in China, which is a fascinating area. You know, the rise of the smartphone in China and in emerging markets. I heard this morning actually about Myanmar, that also something I learned a few years ago about the internet in Myanmar. Today I was hearing about how smartphones are the first phones for many people in Myanmar. So they're not really leapfrogging the digital world. They've never experienced the digital world until they've come onto the smartphone. So they never experienced the browser. They don't even know what digital versus analog is. It's fascinating. So Myanmar might become, you know, the next incubator for who knows what. Stream's takeaway is always the unexpected, new friends, seeing old friends episodically every year and hearing what they've been up to. I have one friend who had a great startup last year. It failed, but he's got another even greater startup now. You know, the energy, particularly of the young Asians, some of them still in college, running you know, startups on the side. It's that infectious energy and enthusiasm. And I think people at Stream who might normally be considered sort of on the spectrum in terms of talking fast, talking a lot, feel almost normal here. Because there's a lot of highly motivated, highly ambitious people, but in a very creative and nurturing way. And the most important thing about Stream is failure is not only tolerated, it's almost encouraged. You know, you get up and do a karaoke pitch, you're going to mess it up. So karaoke, PowerPoint karaoke, for example, which I did last year, is hilarious. So, you know, you only learn about your strengths by exposing your weaknesses. And Stream is all about that. Innovation is all about failure, actually, as much as it is success. And it's very welcomed here. Top tips is just expect the unexpected and just go with the flow, like the name implies. Stream is not structured, and you know, it takes some while, it takes some time for you to kind of familiarize yourself with how that goes, but kind of relaxing, letting go, you'll figure out you'll benefit the most from it. You can't absorb everything that's happening. There's so much happening. There are sessions going on. There are 6 sessions at one time that you'd love to go to. You just have to pick and choose, and your friends will tell you what else happened, and everything kind of mashes up into some kind of feeling that you can get at the evenings over certain cocktails, for example. So yeah, so it's really about going with the flow and just relaxing to learn.